Welcome back to Foothills Firewood, guys. My name's Britt, and the family's out of town. While the cat's away, the mice will play. Let's get it. All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel, and thank you guys for being here. I wish I could tell you today's video had an agenda, but I can't, and it does not. We are just gonna get some stuff done, and I'm gonna take you guys along for the ride. Let me show you what I got. All right, guys, what we have here is a very inexpensive Harbor Freight standard receiver tube. And what we're doing today, mainly because I'm cheap and this is just unnecessary, I think I paid like 15 bucks for this thing, but I need 2 of these for the tractor, and it's just to weld onto implements both on the front and the back so I can pull a trailer without having to constantly swap out, my forks for, say, the ballast box that already has one of these in it. So what I'm gonna do so I can get 2 of these out of 1 is I am going to cut this thing down the center, and I am gonna drill some more holes over here for another pin, and this will give me 2 receivers. All right, so most of you guys know my rear implement is almost always a set of 3-point forks. I do that for a couple reasons. 1, I move a lot of IBC totes, and 2, I can always use an IBC tote as a counterweight. I know a lot of people build counterweights or they use different types of counterweights. There's lots of uses for them, but for me, if all I'm looking for is counterweight and I move a lot of totes, then I'll just simply grab one of these totes of oak, roughly 1,500 pounds. That's all the counterweight I need. I don't have to spend any money building one. And what I'm gonna do is I am going to weld a receiver right there, kind of where I put that hook, but over to the side a little bit. And then I am going to weld a receiver on my forks as well up front. Let me show you the forks. All right, so I recently built a set of pallet forks. I was just looking online and kind of appalled at the prices of what pallet forks run. I absolutely needed some up front so I can stack totes and also move logs around and whatnot. So I get to looking, and I'm finding the cheapest stuff possible, which is just some Chinese import situation, which would probably work, is between $600 and $800. Some of them are $900 to $1,000, and a really high quality set of pallet forks can be upwards of $1,500 to $2,500. So with that being as outrageous as it is, I decided to make my own. The way that I did that was I searched Facebook Marketplace for a set of really nice tines. I didn't have to have class 3 tines, but I did enjoy the fact that they were. The problem with class 3 tines, that anybody that knows anything about pallet forks or tines, is that a class 3 tine has a 20-inch spread from the top cam lock to the bottom groove. The majority of skid steer plates, even if you were to build one, you would build it a certain size, the majority of those plates are a lot thinner. So I ended up having to get 2 half-inch pieces of steel, I call them strips of steel, and run them across the top and the bottom for the grooves. I'll show you guys what I've got here. So I purchased this skid steer plate. Initially, I was just gonna build something and try to weld it up. However, my welding's not great, and I found this on Amazon, half-inch steel for $140 shipped. I couldn't even purchase the steel for that. So that's what I did. It's a blank plate. I bought the blank plate, and the gentleman who I actually bought this house from owns a steel company. So I called him up and told him I needed these 2 strips. You can see right here across the top and that one across the bottom. And so I purchased these and had a friend weld these up for me. The way we did it was coming up about, I'd say, an inch. That way this cam lock had something to ride in, but also coming down quite a bit on the bottom, probably 3 inches. That way it would actually meet that bottom groove there, and we could slide these on and off. You could see without those 2 strips of metal, the actual skid steer quick attach plate would have been probably about 4 or 5 inches too short, and that would have had no bottom rail to ride in. Those basically would have just hung there and could have fallen off. So now that we have this thing all squared away, we have this receiver tube. This is going to be the tough part. I do not want to drill a hole in my tines here These, like I said, these are class 3 tines, so these are very thick, very hardened steel, and I'm just not trying to mess with that. I don't love the idea of drilling a hole in it anyway, but if I had all the right equipment to do that, I probably would, just to throw a ball on those. But I think it's going to be easy enough just to take this $15 thing, cut it in half, and have 2 different receivers. The problem is, once I do that, I have to weld it up here somewhere, and there's no real surface to weld to. I have a 1/2 inch, basically, that I can weld that to. So hopefully I am going to be able to essentially just tack this thing right up there in the middle somewhere that won't hinder, you know, moving these cams and these tines back and forth. I'll tack it somewhere right in the middle, and that'll be enough to hold. Again, we're not pulling trailers down the road here, we're just pulling them around the property. All right, so initially I talked about using the grinder, and I can definitely do that, but I think just for the sake of ease, because this my Sawzall is battery powered, I think why not just use a Sawzall if it'll do it, if my blade's long enough. That way I don't have to, the Sawzall is battery powered, so it'll keep me from having to grab an extension cord and plug everything in. I'm just going to mark it. Like I said, this does not have to be perfect. I'm just trying to give me a frame of reference here. All right. Let me get some safety glasses. I cut a bunch of totes with this thing, so it's not the sharpest. We'll see what we can do here. There we have it. All right, let's get the tractor in place. This would be a lot easier with like a grinding wheel with a flap disc, but here we are. That's what we got. We're gonna get that wiped down and tacked on. Like I said, guys, not a welder. Don't claim to be. Don't let it stress you out. That's going to do its job. think that's all she needs. Said no terrible welder ever. That ain't going nowhere. All right, let's get this thing hooked up here. Now, there's not going to be a ton of articulation, obviously, due to the forks and the trailer coming right up to it, but guys, I'm really just trying to move some stuff around. That's it. All right, that's still hot, obviously. Let's see how it works. Yo, looks good to me. All right, y'all, now that we got that out of the way, let's get some of this oak bucked up. I've got an order for 2/3 of a cord green oak to my chimney guy again. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get some of that prepped up so I can probably split that on Tuesday. I've got some soft maple in the way. I've got some white oak in the way and some hard maple in the way. So we're just gonna do some cutting. Let's go. look who decided to show up. We got Jason from Yadkin Valley Outdoors popping in. We're gonna split some wood together. Hadn't planned on it, but that's what's happening. All right, you guys got to see Jason from Yadkin Valley Outdoors. He helped me split face cord for half the order that I have going out this week for one of my my greenwood oak orders. So I really appreciate that. That probably would have taken me an hour, hour and a half. Him and I got that done in 15, 20 minutes. So that extra person really helps. He was out and about and wanted to stop by, so that's what he did. I appreciate your help out here, Jason. And now I am just gonna get back to grinding with the saw here. We're just trying to cut paths. Not as easy as All right, I know what you're thinking. Did he really have to use the gas axe just to blow some holes in that thing? And the answer is no. No, I did not have to use it. Actually went over to my buddy Chase's house up the street with all intentions of using his drill press. However, we got there and could not find the chuck. He had misplaced the key to take the drill bits in and out. So we weren't gonna leave empty-handed. Fired up the gas axe, blew some holes in it. It is what it is till it ain't. We got it done. So with that said, guys, it is 100 degrees. I've been out here all day. It is probably 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I have hit the heart of it and I am going to pack it in, head inside, get some dinner and hit the cold plunge. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. I appreciate all the likes, the comments, the subscribes and shares. And until next time, we're out here having fun, even in this heat. Let's get it. Thanks for watching.